Hello, dear friends. This soap opera is slow and delayed, but almost every day there is a surprise. Opinion piece. The RV is being talked about. China to revalue the yuan. Currency revaluation. Credit Suisse talks about it. Things are moving. Some openly acknowledged it. Revolution in the currency market. We are in a world of weak currencies. It could have both positive and negative consequences. Let's start. RV, or currency revaluation, was a topic only talked about on user forums, but now the news is that the bank has started talking about the same topic, as have countries like China. Credit Suisse talks about currency revaluation. Countries can choose to revalue their currencies or rethink their exchange rate parities, says Sultan Pothsar, global head of short-term interest rate strategy at Credit Suisse. Sultan Pothsar, a former Federal Reserve and Treasury Department official who is now a short-term interest rate strategist at Credit Suisse, believes the US is in the midst of a commodity crisis that is creating a new global monetary order that will weaken the dollar and increase inflation in the Western Hemisphere. Pothsar believes that money will never be the same after the war in Ukraine, and that Bitcoin may flourish as a result. Pothsar predicts the possibility of both rising rates and rising inflation in the Western world. Credit Suisse Group is a financial services company headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland. It provides private clients as well as small and medium-sized companies with comprehensive financial advice on banking products. In the field of investment banking as well as financial intermediary, it serves global institutions and companies, government agencies and private clients. Credit Suisse Group's registered shares are listed on the Zurich and New York stock exchanges. The group employs some 50,000 people worldwide. Commodities crisis. Pothsar says commodities crisis could weaken euro-dollar and boost yuan. China's central bank is uniquely positioned to support the global commodities crisis triggered by sanctions imposed in response to the war in Ukraine, which could pave the way for a much stronger yuan. Pothsar said, in his view, the crisis has triggered a perfect storm in commodities that could weaken the euro-dollar system, contribute to inflation in the Western economy, and threaten financial stability. The conflict has triggered a sudden spike in global commodity prices, pushing nickel prices to a record high and oil to a 14-year high. Russia has warned that the ban on Russian oil imports could push the cost of a barrel to $3,000. Western central banks, held back by sanctions imposed by their own governments, will not be able to provide support such as the emergency liquidity needed to close market gaps, adding that People's Bank of China faces no such restrictions. Opinions. Stephen Mnuchin, former Treasury Secretary, said that the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the earth would take place this Easter weekend. He will know why he says it, and hopefully he's right. But I no longer believe in any date, but in the wow factor, surprise factor. Second, Donald Trump's quote, in quotes, "We have inflation. It wouldn't have happened. We have Ukraine. It wouldn't have happened. You'd probably have Taiwan. That would never have happened. None of this would have happened. Belton wrote, Taiwan is next. Third, Vincent Kennedy expects a global financial reset, a revaluation of currencies, and a currency backed by precious metals and active assets, in order to restore parity at all levels of finance. He is convinced that there will be some sort of debt jubilee and some sort of restoration of funds that were taken illegally, so that in the end we would all be much better off than before. New financial order. Revolution in the currency market. The Chinese government prepares the market for a revaluation of the yuan. After strong international pressure, Beijing has announced that it will accelerate the easing of the exchange rate of its currency, the yuan, which has traded for a decade at around 8.3 units to the dollar. However, the Chinese government refuses to talk about a specific time frame. China accelerates the revaluation of the yuan in a world of weak currencies. Some openly acknowledge it, such as Japan. Others do not, although they do pursue it with their actions. But the fact is that in the current context, most countries are seeking a weaker currency as a springboard to boost their exports and revive their economies. But every self-respecting rule requires an exception, and this is China. Definition. Revaluation consists of the increase in the value of a thing, product, merchandise, or in this case, of a currency. And for this reason, we speak of currency appreciation, because it increases in value in relation to another. The revaluation of a country's currency has negative and positive consequences, affecting or benefiting certain sectors. A currency revaluation is an upward adjustment of a country's official exchange rate and is calculated in relation to a chosen baseline. A revaluation is a calculated upward adjustment to a country's official exchange rate relative to a chosen baseline. The baseline may include wage rates, the price of gold, or a foreign currency. Revaluation is the opposite of devaluation, which is a downward adjustment to a country's official exchange rate. Revaluation is the increase in value of one currency against another. However, not every time a currency improves its valuation is a revaluation. It depends on the origin of the decision to increase its value, as well as the exchange rate system in which it is found. This currency appreciation can be triggered by various situations, such as free exchange and supply and demand. However, the term revaluation is often used to refer to a currency appreciation cost and decided by the monetary authorities of the states. If there is a free-floating system, currencies will adjust their value automatically, self-regulating via the supply and the demand market for currency, whereas in a fixed system, it is the authorities who have to change their value. A revaluation of currencies, in many cases, is a healthy process that can be either integral or changeable depending on certain scenarios, but it must be done slowly and carefully until the necessary adjustment is made to avoid market collapse. In other words, the movement of currencies must be evaluated little by little so that the revaluation of currencies is fair. On the other hand, the sense of ownership in many cases towards currency revaluation converges on one side to the other, to some extent on the reinvestment side, and in others on the recession side. On the other hand, currency revaluation is so uncertain that at any point a small cutoff can occur. forcing reinvestments to become more speculative. But this is a long way to go for certain short-term investors. Markets. First, Wall Street kicks off the earnings season of a high note despite the drag from banking. Second, BlackRock expects the Fed will not raise interest rates above 2%. Third, Canada raises its interest rate by half a point, the largest increase in 22 years. Fourth, oil prices fall. Traders weighted a larger than expected building oil stock against tightening global supply. 5. High gasoline prices take up a large portion of the March retail spending increase. 6. Mortgage rates soar to highest level in more than a decade. Even wealthy home buyers are feeling the pinch. As mortgage interest rates climb above 5%, the crisis-related boom in second home buying is coming to a halt. 7. The yen continues its slide and touches a 20-year low against the dollar. 8. Ukraine claims to have hit a Russian flagship and Moscow claims a fire. Supply crisis. First, crisis raises egg prices worldwide. Second, crisis leaves more than 250 million people in extreme poverty. Inflation. First, inflation may have peaked or maybe not. Second, Elon Musk recommends investing in physical things like a house when inflation is high. Third, Elon Musk targets Twitter with $41 billion cash takeover offer. Said the social media giant must be privatized to grow and become a platform for free speech. Europe. The EU is testing lie detectors at its borders in Hungary, Latvia and Greece. Second, European stocks rise as the European Central Bank took a more dovish approach than its US counterpart in signaling a tightening of monetary policy. Third, Euribor in positive territory, first rate hike in the Eurozone. Fourth, Lagarde says war is full inflation risk in the Eurozone. 5. Lagarde says war is driving up prices but gives no further clues as to when debt buying will end or when she will raise interest rates. 6. ECB to end its debt purchases in the third quarter of the year, but won't say when. Monthly net purchases under its debt purchase program will amount to 40 billion euros in April, 30 billion euros in May, and 20 billion euros in June. 7. The ECB is keeping an eye up its sleeve ahead of the imminent withdrawal of stimulus and rate hikes. 8. The ECB could be more hawkish in the face of high inflation. 9. Euro extends slide as ECB rate hike bets reduced. The euro extended its slide on Thursday as comments by European Central Bank Chief Christine Lagarde were taken as a sign that the bank was in no rush to raise rare interest rates. 10. ECB sticks to tightening plans but keeps options open. The European Central Bank on Thursday stuck to its plans to finally end its stimulus program in the third quarter, but gave no further clues on its timetable, highlighting war-related uncertainties. 11. Britain plans to send migrants to Rwanda with tougher asylum stance. 12. Zelensky rejects German president's visit over the Nord Stream ties. 13. Jerusalem celebrates Holy Thursday, this time without restrictions and with pilgrims. Spain. First, Fuel prices continue to fall in the most expensive Easter week in history. Second, electricity triggers inflation on March to 9.8%, the highest since 1985. Third, the IBEX 35 leads the European upswings thanks to tourism companies and Telefónica. 4. Spanish banks accumulate 2 months without request for financing from the ECB. 5. Banco Santander regains traction and potential to 27%. 6. Spain protests the arrival of US nuclear submarine in Gibraltar. 7. A new method of stealing from ATM users is being elected. It is a system that has been used for years, tiny cameras, but now camouflaged under the appearance of a screw. The piece goes virtually unnoticed by the people who use this service because it is barely visible and seems to be part of the structure of the machine. But inside is a hidden wireless camera that records every movement of the victims. Hispanic America. First, Cuba has stopped accepting deportation of Cubans from the USA. Second, Russia admits the seriousness of the cessation of lithium shipments from Argentina and Chile. Third, Argentina places its debt in the local market for $2,083 billion. 4. The alternative pension withdrawal project advances in the Chilean Congress to stop the initiative discussed by the parliament for a massive withdrawal of 10% of the funds. 5. 10,000 arrested in El Salvador in broad crackdown of Maras gangs. President Nayib Bukele says war against gangs continues, despite concerns expressed by human rights groups and other observers. 6. Quito's Arrastre de Caudas, a holy ritual that resists extinction. Quito's Metropolitan Cathedral on Wednesday welcomed hundreds of faithful to the traditional Arrastre de Caudas, an ancient Catholic Holy Week celebration that resists extinction after its disappearance in cities such as Seville in Spain or Lima in Peru. 7. The earliest evidence of the Mayan calendar found inside the Guatemalan pyramid. A glyph depicting a day called Seven Dia on fragments of a mural dating from the 3rd century before Christ, found inside the ruins of a pyramid in Guatemala, marks the earliest known use of the Mayan calendar. 8. Ancient earthquake discovered, as powerful as the largest earthquake ever recorded. The Great Chile earthquake of May 22, 1960, was the dubious honor of being the largest earthquake ever recorded by humans. However, a new study has found that Chile could also be the site of an ancient super-earthquake that would equal the magnitude recorded in 1960. The work presents evidence of a seismic event which occurred approximately 3,800 years ago, so powerful that it left lasting and identifiable marks in the Atacama Desert. 9. NASA and SpaceX set April 23rd as the new liftoff date for Crew 4 to the International Space Station from Kennedy Space Center, Florida. Cryptocurrencies. First, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin hold steady. Second, Bitcoin prices rises, but whales are making waves, indicating it may not last. Third, the price of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin Cash is up more than 8% in 24 hours. 4. The price of the Solana cryptocurrency rose more than 3% in 24 hours. 5. Ethereum pulls back, although expectations remain positive. 6. All cryptocurrencies could collapse, writes Michael Lewis. The cryptocurrency has divided the ranks of celebrities into two camps, boosters and skeptics. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.